Twitter says it found 10 million influence campaigns, possibly posted by state-backed Iranian and Russian trolls. This involves activity posted on the platform since 2009. The data sets include nearly 4,000 accounts affiliated with Russia's Internet Research Agency and over 700 accounts originating in Iran. Also included are over 10 million tweets and 2 million other types of media, such as images, GIFs, and videos. Twitter suspended accounts from Iran with ties to the government, and the company says it's now releasing all this content to enable further independent academic research and investigations. And CNET senior producer Dan Patterson joins us now. So, Dan, what exactly happened and what do we know?
So Twitter released documents that showed tens of thousands of tweets. Of these tweets, they found influence campaigns from both Russia and from Iran. Now, there wasn't as much influence campaign content from Iran as with Russia, but it was very apparent that Iran had political motivations and that they had taken many of the tactics that Russia perfected in 2016 and were using those for political reasons.
Do we have a sense, Dan, of exactly what Iran was targeting?
Well, Iran generally targets regional interests. So they go after Israel for the Knesset elections. They go after Saudi Arabia. In this case, it appears as though some of their targets were American, but we really don't know how political and what their aspirations were beyond politics. So we didn't see something directly targeting the 2018 election, but we saw hints at that.
Have your sources been able to indicate exactly who may have taught Iran these tactics?
Yeah, it looks as though Iran learned from Russia's IRA.
How can they tell that, Dan?
So they can tell that because some of the language that was used in these tweets and by how frequent those tweets were. So we see similar behavior patterns. When you look at data maps of how the IRA posted on not just Twitter, but Instagram, Facebook, and other social networks, we see very similar behavior come from Iran.
When you look at this, I think the big concern for people now, we're just weeks away from midterms. Is there concern, is Twitter vocal about how this could possibly affect midterms?
So Twitter has said that they are tamping down on these, what they call coordinated attempts to influence not just the campaign, but the service in general. We don't necessarily know that Iran is targeting the midterms, but we know that there are a number of foreign actors who are involved. Attribution is really, really hard in cyber, so it's pretty fair for companies like Facebook and Twitter and other social networks to say, look, we don't really know right now, but we're looking into the forensics. However, what we do know is that the content of this of these tweets and of what Iran posted, it really has political overtones without being overtly for one partisan side or the other.
Dan, it's hard to forget over the summer how the head of various intel organizations in the U.S. and the Department of Homeland Security all came out as a united front saying we are on election hacking issues for 2018. Do you get the sense, are the folks in the cyber world as convinced as the intelligence community is that they're on top of this and that they're not concerned that something could happen in November?
The intelligence community is incredibly concerned that there are coordinated efforts, and some attribution has gone back to Russia on this. Election security is not something that the social networks or the intelligence community take lightly, although it's really hard when we look at things like critical infrastructure and other more technical components of hacking to say, well, the Russians are going to do X, Y, and Z. What we know is that when election day comes and goes, these influence campaigns do not stop. So every campaign is the next campaign for many of our adversaries.
Are folks in the cyber world happy with the way Twitter and Facebook have responded to these disinformation campaigns?
It appears as though when Twitter puts out a blog post that says, hey, look, we got rid of a certain number of tweets or content posts on the site, because it also includes Periscope broadcasts, that this is perfunctory. So they say we are responding to regulators. The intelligence community looks at this and says, look, the mechanics of how your network operates is what is being exploited right now. And there really needs to be fundamental changes in how networks operate from not just the content consumption perspective, but how advertising works in those networks. We see social media adjust, but it seems to be pretty slow.
Dan Patterson, thank you for joining us, Dan.